Alright, what is going on, guys? Today I'm going to be making my monthly pickups video that I do either the last day or first day of every month. This one might actually come out on the 2nd, depending on how quickly I edit it, because I kind of forgot about it until now, and it is currently 8 o'clock while I'm recording it. But anyway, I ended up getting quite a bit this month, and I already did make a pickups video for my trip to Boston. If you want to check that out, it should be up in this corner here. Basically, I went to PAX with a group of my friends, and I bought some retro games and stuff like that while I was there. So I just made kind of a quick video on the trip, and then just really quick at the end showed my pickups. But anyway, like I said, there's a lot, so let me just kind of get started with it. First of all, this is something that I've already had, however, I never had a box for it, so I ended up getting a second one. That is the NES Classic. So basically these are like little mini NESs. They released them probably 5 years ago at this point, I think. I'm not sure exactly. Oh, 2016. Okay, never mind. That was a lot longer ago than I thought it was. That's kind of almost a little depressing because that's 8 years. Yeah, so it's just like a little emulation box with a bunch of NES games on it. Like I said, I already had a loose one of these, but this one came with the box and everything, and it was only like $30, I think. So that seemed pretty reasonable to me. I think I paid like maybe 20 for my loose one like 2 years ago. It even came with this third-party controller. It has the original one with it, but it came with a third-party one too, which is cool, because I believe they only came with one controller. If they did originally come with two controllers, it's not like it's a huge deal, because I still have my original one. But yeah, here's the actual console itself. I think they're pretty neat. I actually really like these. I hope someday they do one for the N64, but I'm not really gonna get my hopes up, because I don't think they will. Next up, I actually got a couple Game Gear games, which is cool because I don't really have a lot of them. I think I might have two currently, and my first one is actually a duplicate, but kind of a similar thing. This one had a box, which I didn't have before, and it was cheap. So here's a box copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is probably the most common game for the system. There's quite a few of these out there. I think I might have two copies, actually. So this is a third, but just... box was in decent condition. I mean, for its age and for it being cardboard, it's really not bad. You can see there is a little bit of like discoloration at the top. The corners are a little messed up, but overall, pretty good. Sticker says 30. I think I might have paid like 25 or something, but I just thought it would be a cool thing to put on the shelf because I don't actually have any box Game Gear stuff. So I saw this in the pawn shop I went to, and I was like, okay, well, I have to have that. And I got it. Next one here, another Sonic game, and it is Sonic Chaos for the Game Gear. I can't remember if this is one of the good ones or one of the bad ones. I know there's like probably 4 Game Gear Sonic games, I think. I know there's Sonic 1, 2, Blast, and Chaos, I think. If this is the one I'm thinking of, it's the best one, but I'm not 100% sure. It's some Game Gear nerd can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but it was a Sonic game that wasn't Sonic 2, so I got it. Next up, keeping on the theme with Sega stuff, I also got Streets of Rage 1 for the Genesis. I have Streets of Rage 2. It's one of my favorite games. I don't think I have Streets of Rage 3 yet, although that's definitely on my list, but I didn't have 1, which I've played quite a bit in emulator, and I've found it pretty enjoyable. Obviously, Streets of Rage 2 is a better game. It's pretty much just this, but more refined. But it's still a really good time, and I mean, who doesn't like a good beat-em-up? And then I think this is my last Sega game that I bought, unless there's one that I'm forgetting about, which is very possible. I also got Battletoads. The infamous game that GameStop never has. No manual, unfortunately. I kind of wish it did have it, but price with a manual is significantly higher than what I paid for this. He actually basically gave it to me for like a loose price plus like $10. That was pretty good. Condition on everything's really nice. Still has this little hanger. Box art isn't all damaged or anything. It's actually pretty nice. So hopefully I'll find a manual someday. To me, manuals don't matter that much if there's like a huge difference in price. Because, I mean, most of the time you'll just see it like this on the shelf. Or maybe if I decide to display it like that. Unless it's a game that I like really care about and really like, then I want the manual. Alright, so let's stick with some cartridge-based stuff. This one, it's probably the least interesting thing I bought. But I got Magical Tetris Challenge for the N64. This was just kind of like a throw-in thing. I was at a pawn shop and I was kind of like making a deal. Just like, oh, well, I haven't seen this game before, I'll grab it. I eventually want to get every single N64 game, That's kind of my goal because it's probably the most attainable full set aside from like really small systems like the N-Gage or something like that. It's probably one of the easiest full sets to go for as far as Nintendo's concerned, aside from maybe the Virtual Boy, although that one's got a couple expensive games, but so does the N64. But yeah, anytime I find like a cheap N64 game that I don't own, I pretty much always pick it up. Kind of a similar thing with this. I got Rayman 2. I've already played this game quite a bit on PS1. I really enjoy it, but I like the green cartridge that the N64 version has, so I grabbed that. Like it shows there, they originally had it for $20. I think I might have paid $15 for it. I usually always try to negotiate my prices, and a lot of the time I buy stuff from the same people, so they usually cut me deals on things. I then got this, which is a gray cartridge for The Legend of Zelda. The one that I already own is a gold cartridge, and it's pretty beat up. Condition-wise, it's not great, but this one just looked really nice. And like I said, I didn't own a gray one yet, so I just really wanted it. I don't know which one is more rare, if one is more rare. I don't know exactly why some are gray and some are gold. Pretty neat. A lot of people probably have this, but I thought I'd grab it anyway because I didn't have it yet. And then I also got Dragon Warrior for NES, which is one that I've heard really good things about. I believe this is Dragon Quest, the first one that they released here in America. Although maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is a Dragon Quest game. Just like the other one, condition's pretty nice. I don't like that they put this sticker here. Hopefully it'll come off, but I mean, I got it for like $10, so not bad. I then have this one, which I was actually about to buy a complete in-box copy of at Retro Game Con last year, but it ended up selling before I got back to the table. So here's a loose copy of Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo. I'm a pretty big fan of like the older Castlevania games, so I just really wanted to get this one. I would have liked to get that complete in box copy last year, but I mean, I still get to enjoy it with this one, so it's pretty cool. And then I also got Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, which is another one that's been on my list for quite some time. I played the remake of this on the Switch, and I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to play the original all the way through. Gives me kind of an excuse to go back through the whole game. But yeah, really cool one, really fun game. This next one here, I already owned 2 out of 3 games that are in the pack, but I just thought it was kind of like a weird thing. I don't think it has much value at all, but I picked up this Pac-Man Power Pack for the PS2. It's quite a bit of alliteration there. So if you can see down there, it has Pac-Man World 2 and 3, plus Pac-Man World Rally, I think it's called. It's kind of like a little racing game. They're all black labels, which I think my other copy of Pac-Man World 2 is a greatest hits copy, so it's nice to have a black label of it. Very odd thing to have, but I just saw it, and usually these triple packs, people just kind of pull them out of the case. So seeing one all together was pretty neat, and I didn't pay much for it at all, so it was worth it to me. Next up, I got a couple 360 games here that really don't have much value to them at all, but they're just games that I haven't really seen before and looked kind of interesting. First one here is Remember Me, which I know nothing about. I just got because it was a Capcom game I haven't heard of. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. Someone can let me know. And then this one here, I have heard of these games, and I've heard pretty decent things about them, but it's the double pack for Saints Row 1 and 2. Kind of a similar situation with that Pac-Man game. It was just a multi-pack of games I already own, but it's kind of a different variant of them, so I thought I might as well get it. Down to some of my last few games here. I have 2 more consoles to show off at the end, but I was kind of going to save those for last. First one here, I got Pokemon Ultra Sun, mainly just because I have both Sun and Moon. I just don't have either of the Ultra games. Probably paid more than I wanted to for this. I paid $35, but I just really wanted to get one of the Ultra games to actually play through. I might as well get it. It's probably just going to go up with price knowing how Pokemon games are, so might as well bite the bullet now. This one here I just got because I don't really own a lot for this system, and I really want to own more, and it is Breath of the Wild for the Wii U. Obviously, played it a bunch on the Switch, really enjoyed it. I did like Tears of the Kingdom more, and personally, it's not my favorite Zelda game ever, but I enjoyed it. I had some fun with it. And I wanted to kind of see what the differences are between the Switch and the Wii U version. From what I've heard, there's not a whole lot aside from performance, but still, it'd be a kind of cool reason to go back and play the game again. Then here's another one that I've actually been trying to cross off my list for a while. Not that it's a very rare or expensive game, I just haven't found it yet. That is Knight's Journey of Dreams. So Knights into Dreams, a pretty interesting Saturn game. I know very little about this one. I don't think I've ever seen gameplay or anything, but it's another Knights game, and as far as I know, it's the only other one we ever got. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's just this one and Knights into Dreams. Maybe I'm wrong, though, so don't 100% quote me on that. But still, it was cheap enough, and it looked pretty fun. Looked like something I'd enjoy at least checking out, so I grabbed that too. Now I'm down to my last game before I show off the consoles, and it is Ape Escape on the Loose. I know Ape Escape is one of those games where it was really fun originally, and then they just kind of never innovated much, so they just released like the same game over and over again. I don't know how good people consider this one, but I've never really played Ape Escape. I've played it a little bit on like the PS1. I've played the original a little bit, but it just seemed like something kind of cool to try out on the PSP. Another console that I really wish I had more for, because I really enjoy collecting games on it, and it's just a fun console to play in general. So anyway, there's all of the games that I have, at least that don't go to another console. But I do have two pretty interesting consoles I wanted to show off that some of you might not have even heard of, or at least have not seen in a while. So the first one here is a Nokia N-Gage, which is basically like the original gaming phone. This is actually the N-Gage QD, so this is the revision of it. It's a little bit smaller, a little bit more convenient to use, because the original was like pretty big and the speakers were on the side for some reason. This one's pretty nice to use. I haven't really played much on it because I only own one game. Here we go. If I think the battery's dead. But yeah, it's just a little phone that plays games, basically. Has a little cartridge slot on the bottom, and because of that, I had to get a game, so I got Rayman 3. Weirdly, I believe this is a European version, but it doesn't really matter. At least I don't know exactly what rating system that is, but that is definitely not the ESRB. But they all work the same. It's region free. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is just kind of like another 2D Rayman, which is cool, since Rayman 3 was originally a 3D game. So it just seemed like kind of an interesting thing to get. And overall, I mean, this is a really neat console. I'd like to get the original N-Gage too, but I don't really see them come up for sale that often, and they're usually a little bit more than I want to spend. But still, very, very interesting thing to have. And the next one is actually weirdly similar. However, it's a lot more rare. And that is the Gizmondo, which you may have heard of, you might not have heard of. It's, as far as I know, the worst selling console of all time, or at least the worst selling handheld of all time. I think it sold like 25,000 units or something, like some crazy low numbers. So all the Gizmondos, they come with like this rubber coating on them, and it basically melts in your hands when you're trying to play it. So I went through and I cleaned all of that off. So it's not quite like 100% original, unfortunately. I would have liked to keep it on there, but I mean, there's really no way to play it when it has that, because your hands get all sticky and it's just gross. But the main issue with this one is if I try to turn it on, if the battery's even charged at all, which I don't think it is pretty much completely broken. So I probably could have kept that rubber coating on, because there's really no way to use it. I don't know what's wrong with it. If there's any Gizmondo fans who can maybe help me out, that would be great. Basically, it turns on, it gets to the loading screen, and then it just sits there forever. I was able to actually force it into the main menu using a tool that some guy made, but I can't really get much further than that. I've tried reflashing the software, and it does nothing. So I don't really know what's wrong with it. Most likely it's probably some hardware issue, because, I mean, reflashing the firmware should fix anything software related, but I don't really know. It's sad, but I'm hoping someday to get this thing fully working again. And it also takes game cartridges, although I think there were only like 10 ever made or something, and it's pretty easy to just kind of load stuff on an SD card, which I have here. Very interesting device. I would recommend you guys look into this, because there's a whole like crazy backstory with the CEO of the company like crashing a Ferrari and all this like really crazy stuff. Yeah, overall, pretty interesting month. Got a lot of stuff that I've really wanted for a while, namely these two things. But yeah, hopefully the rest of this year is this good because I am crossing off a bunch of things from my list of, games and systems and everything that I've wanted for a while. But pretty much as fast as I cross things off, I also add to it, so it's kind of never ending. Like I said, check out that PAX video that I made a couple weeks ago. Showed off some pretty neat stuff in that. But yeah, anyway, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.